Okay, so the best way to do hamburger and not get fat in it is to boil it. So I have this little pot right here boiling with salt water, where it's about to boil with salt water. I'm just going to cut this, and this is enough. This is 1 pound, so this is enough essentially for 4 meals. So that's that. Push pause. So as you can see, I have the it's not frozen, it's just refrigerated cold meat. Went into the hot salty boiling water. It cooled it down for a little bit. We're just going to put the lid on it and let it cook. That way when I drain it, I will have eliminated all the fat that was in the meat, because fat is our enemy. Pushing pause again. Okay, so what we have here is the hamburger boiling, and we have a whole pretty good sized onion, between medium and large, and we have mushrooms, and I put in 5 cloves of garlic and some Himalayan salt. I sauteed all that in the Bertolli organic extra virgin olive oil spray. Important stuff. And I have cut a half a head of cabbage. You know, this is my noodles. You know, this cooks down really nice. It makes good noodles. And this has begun to sweat. It's not really cooked yet, but it's sweating. I'm going to put this cabbage on it and just put the lid on it and let it cook down. Just let it all cook down. Let all those flavors melt. And we will push resume on the video in a few minutes for the next step. Okay, so the hamburger meat is done. I've been cutting it up a little bit with this knife. And so we know that the fat is all in there. Now remember, that was a whole pound, so that's enough for 4 meals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take about half of it out while it's hot and put it on this that's still steaming. The mushrooms and the onions, the garlic, and the cabbage in the olive oil spray that just has some salt. So we're going to take half of this. We're just going to kind of eyeball it in half. We can break it all up later. Just let it kind of drain because all the fat is in the water. I'm just going to set it on top for right now. Alright, there's half the meat. This spaghetti will be enough for 2 meals. I'm going to set this aside, and I'll drain it in a little while, and this will be a couple other meals. But right now, it is of no relevance. Now, while this is here, I'm going to take a can of diced tomatoes and put it on here. And a can of tomato paste. Just plain tomato paste. And nice thick. Oh, it's so aromatic. Put that on there. It's being stubborn, it's nice and thick. Come on, get out. I should have grabbed a spoon. Oops, knocking over stuff. Alright. Rest that a minute. We have garlic powder. Yes, I already know I have 5 cloves of garlic, but that's one thing. This is another. Some garlic powder. Be very generous with that. Yes, I already know I have a whole large onion, but onion powder as well. Be generous with that as well. It just gives so much savor. And there's no salt in this. This isn't onion salt and garlic salt. It's powder. Basil. I'm out of fresh basil and fresh oregano. But for sauce, basil, you know, dried basil is fine. I hate it when people are skimpy on basil. Plenty of basil. And then oregano, dried oregano. Be careful. You can overdo it on oregano. So be careful. Okay. Now, a little bit more salt. And we already know that tomatoes are going to be tart because they're acidic. So I just add a couple packets of stevia. Put that over there. Now, in a few minutes, we'll stir it up. But for right now, we're just going to put the lid on it and let it continue sweating. Just sweat it out. And we're going to push pause and resume in a minute. Okay, so lifting the lid. Now we're going to start to mix it. The cabbage should have started really cooking down by now. There's water in the bottom because remember, cabbage renders water, which is fine with our paste. It'll thin out that paste and make it the perfect consistency for our cabbage spaghetti. The hamburger meat is still not completely chopped up, so that's fine. Let's keep working it in. Just work it in, work it in. We'll resume in a minute. I'm going to keep working it in. Okay, we should have a finished product. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Let's get that up close. Look at that, would you? Delicious. Oh, I wish you could smell it. So that's enough for 2 large meals. So we're just going to plate it up. I'm going to take half of it, which is a lot of food. And I'm supposed to have 2 vegetables, but this is enough. I don't even know if I could fit another vegetable in. If I did, it would just be like a salad or something. But this is very delicious. Very delicious. And this will be a meal in a few more days, after a long day of trucking. And I just need a hot meal. I'll just nuke this. I'll put this in Tupperware and I'll just nuke it and I'll have a meal. Look at how much food this is. Now remember, this is no fat, no carbs, no sugar, ton of flavor, very filling. Very filling. Look at all that food. How am I ever going to finish that much? I don't know. And yes, this is the diet. And yes, we're losing weight. Bon appetit. Mwah.